Hello, everyone, and welcome to a 10-part series on how to be a great leader in this new and often challenging world of work that we operate in.
Workforce Excellence, involvedgroup.com.
In this session, I'll be focusing on the 5th of the 10 traits that employees highlighted for being a great leader, which is all about how leaders need to recognize their employees, recognizing not just the big wins, but small wins and hard work. And I'll be answering 2 questions. Why is it important for leaders to recognize their employees? And how can leaders recognize their employees in a meaningful and an effective way? So let's start with the why. So why is it important for leaders to recognize their employees? Well, let me share with you 2 key reasons, one from the employee perspective and the other from the company perspective. So from the employee perspective, recognition gives them what they crave. Now, I'm not going to go into a detailed scientific lesson here. I'm sure you're glad to hear that. But let me just say that there is a physical, a chemical reason why we as humans crave recognition. In fact, when we're recognized, there are 3 chemicals that are released. Dopamine, which is known as the feel-good chemical, as it makes us, well, feel good. Serotonin, which puts us in a good mood and makes us feel a sense of pride. And finally, oxytocin, which makes us feel a sense of trust and connection. And an interesting thing about these chemicals is that they not only make us feel this way in the moment, but our brain also remembers them and it craves them in the future. Think of it like chocolate or a dog bone, which also, by the way, releases dopamine. Don't you just crave chocolate just thinking about how great it makes you, how great it tastes, and also how great it makes you feel? That's the chemicals in your brain just reminding you of this and making you crave it. And when it comes to recognition, our employees crave it so much that according to one study, 50%, so half of employees said that they would leave the company if they did not receive recognition. So let's answer the why question from the company perspective. So why exactly is recognition important to the company? So as with employees, recognition satisfies a craving, which for companies is a craving for employee engagement. And as I've mentioned in other sessions, employee engagement, it's that connection, it's that relationship that employees have with you as their leader and also with the company. And it's been proven to improve productivity, customer and employee retention, and profit, just to name a few. And recognition has been found to be a key driver of employee engagement. In fact, a recent study by Aon reported that of all the factors that drive employee engagement, recognition is the leading one globally. As Dale Carnegie, who is considered a leadership training guru, said, people work for money, but go the extra mile for recognition, praise, and for rewards. In fact, one study showed that 79% of employees, so that's 8 out of 10 employees, said they'd work harder if they were actually recognized. So, which is why when I talk about recognition, I often talk about how recognition turns our employees into superheroes. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to leap tall buildings or lift buses, but when the 3 chemicals, as I mentioned before, are released, as the statistic I just shared with you, that 8 out of 10 employees say that they'll work harder, they can achieve more for your company, they do turn into superheroes. So now that I've shared about how recognition can help your company, let's talk a little bit more about how you can recognize your employees. And I'll be sharing with you 4 tips to take away. The first tip is to look for recognition moments. So to be open to and receptive to recognition when it happens, and not just to let these important moments slip away. In the survey, employees said that they want to be recognized for the small wins, the big wins, and for hard work. So this is exactly what you need to be on the lookout for. Too often, I've heard leaders say that recognition should only be for the big wins. But this is and can be a huge mistake. For example, let's say that you have a team of salespeople. If you wait until they get the big sale, you've missed out on all those little in-between steps which actually need to be recognized to help your employees get through to the end. Going back to the chemicals, just think what would happen if those chemicals were released sooner in the process. Say when, I don't know, the employee hits a key milestone instead of that time of the sale, that big win. It will give them that boost, that confidence, that ability to put on their superhero capes. And they'd be able to do this a lot sooner in the process. So I ask, why wait? If you see a moment, don't let it slip by, but capture it and recognize it. This leads me to my second tip, which is about the timing of the recognition, with my tip being to recognize in a timely manner. Too often, we leave our employees aimlessly waiting to be recognized. So going back to my superhero analogy, waiting to put on their superhero cape and waiting to make a difference. This happened with my teenage daughter when she was working at a soft play area. And after helping an unhappy child, the child's father came up and thanked my daughter, and then said that he was going to tell her manager about the great job that she had done. So she waited all day long for her manager to come up and to recognize her for this achievement, but it didn't happen. When it finally did, which was a month later, when she was named Employee of the Month, sure, it made her feel great. But as the expression goes, it was too little, too late. For she had spent an entire month walking around thinking and feeling that her manager didn't appreciate and didn't value her. So next time you find one of your employees achieving the small win, the big win, or putting in hard work for the effort, don't wait, recognize it in the moment. So let me pause for a moment and say that although recognition is great, it won't be enough to release those chemicals or turn employees into superheroes if it's not done in the right way, if it's not done in a meaningful way. And to illustrate this, just think of a time when you received a card from someone and all the person did was sign their name. How did it make you feel? For although it was nice to receive the card and it made you feel, happy that they did that, but since they didn't put the effort into making it meaningful and specific, it truly didn't make you feel appreciated or valued. And this is especially important when it comes to recognition, so that the employee understands what they've done and feel appreciated. So here's a really simple and effective 3-step framework that comes from the book CRAVE, which was written by Greg Letterman, that will help you provide meaningful recognition. If you use this when you recognize your employees, either in writing or face-to-face, it'll make a huge difference. Let me share with you these 3 steps. The first step is to tell the action. And it's the starting point of the message, telling the recipient exactly what they did. So no guessing as to what they did. The second step is to connect it to a company value or some type of area of focus. And what this step does is it links the action to the big picture of your organization's priorities and to their objectives. And connecting this action to the company values, which I spoke about in an earlier session, is even a better way to do it, because it shows your employees the importance of the values and how living and delivering on them is something that is going to be recognized. And then the third step and the final step is to share the impact. And this is a step which is often forgot about. But think about what was the difference that they made. It answers the question, what's the point? So who benefited from what they did and how did they benefit? And if you're stuck, considering explaining what would happen if the person did not do what they did. So again, 3 steps: tell the action, connect to the focus area, and share the impact. So far, I've been talking about all the great things that recognition can do. But let me ask you a question. If no one knows about it, if it's being done behind closed doors, how does it have a chance of doing what it can and what it should do? Which leads me to my final tip, which is to make recognition visible, putting it under the spotlight. Now, this is important from an employee's perspective because it lets them celebrate this achievement with others. And from a company perspective, it's really important also because it shows others what good looks like. So by shining the spotlight on recognition moments when it happens, over and over again, the actions and the behaviors which are being recognized have a much better chance of being repeated and becoming habits, not just for the person who's being recognized, but actually for everyone else who's sharing in this important moment. So next time you recognize one of your employees, think about how you can share it, how you can celebrate it with others in your team or in the company. So those are my 4 tips to help you recognize those small wins, those big wins, and the hard work in a meaningful and an effective way. Remember, make it a part of your culture and look for recognition moments. Make it timely, making it meaningful, and make it visible. And by doing this, you'll see the magic happen with engaged superheroes helping you and your company succeed. So thank you for your time, and I hope you join me for my other sessions